So I'd like to welcome Melinda Richards, co-founder and CEO of SuperSprout, to the webinar. Hi, Melinda.
Hello. Hi, Cynthia. Thanks for having me.
No, I'm so glad you could be with us. So I wanted to get you to talk to our audience today about you and about SuperSprout and about the experience of taking SuperSprout offshore. So my first question for you is, what does SuperSprout do?
We produce all Australian 100% pure fruit and vegetable powders. So most of them are organic, and you can just simply scoop and add them to all of your favourite meals, because 95% of us don't get our daily allowance of fruit and veg. So it's just getting your fruit and veg in a different form.
Okay, fantastic. Just give me some background about you and you as a business owner. Is this your first business? Is it something you've been doing for ages? What does that look like?
I was actually in the corporate workforce for about 21 years. My father has always been an entrepreneur, and I suppose we started to merge our worlds about 10 years ago. I became a director of all my father's businesses, and then I took over this particular business because it was wallowing. We didn't have a brand. It was a fantastic idea, and we really needed to just launch it to the market. So I then left my full-time work. I also had a consultancy business, and I decided to just dedicate some time into building a food business. So that's how it all came about, because it was such a wonderful, amazing product and an amazing idea.
That's pretty cool. So tell us a bit about what kind of frustrations you were facing before you decided to take SuperSprout offshore and to go offshore looking for new clients.
Well, look, I mean, the frustrations are a little bit around Australian culture, doing business in Australia. It can be a little tricky. It's interesting that we talk about the global marketplace and cultural differences overseas, but I think it's really important to remember that there are cultural nuances about doing business in Australia with Australians as well. So the first thing is the cultural side of food and how Australians consume food. Yeah. And then there's also the cultural side of doing business in Australia and finding great business partners. So really, I think we were probably frustrated on both sides. Yeah. The first, in terms of, Australians love to eat cheap food. They will spend money on mobile phones and cars and tablets and all sorts of gadgets, and they're really, really great early adopters when it comes to the world at large and technology. But Australians don't place a high value on health or nutrition. And, we can see that in our lifestyle. We can see that as being the second highest obese nation in the world. I mean, there's a whole range of statistics around diabetes and heart attacks and all those sort of things. So that was the first side of things. But of course, the second part was there's not a lot of money in Australia. And I mean, we are a lucky country, but if you're really breaking new ground with young growing businesses, it's hard to talk to a bank. Governments don't really want to know you until you're part of the mega stars and the mega players. And it's hard to get involved with trade missions, and it's hard to really have big investors listen to you, because, you've really got to have an amazing idea who's come, and a lot of us have that. And so you're really competing with a lot of other startups. So for us, going overseas was really just a natural step, because we were getting a lot more interest from overseas from both of those perspectives.
And so was there a light bulb moment or something specific that happened that made you suddenly realize that you should actually be operating overseas and not just here in Australia?
Look, it was when we turned on our website, and that was an investment that was a very, very good one for us. I mean, having a very good website is so critical. If you're going to have a website, I will say one learning that we got very early on is have the best that your money can buy, and put in the highest budget that you can towards it. Don't cut corners on that. There are other areas you might be able to cut corners, but do not cut corners on your website. And that's been a very big challenge for us. But as soon as we got a website that was really world class, the interest that came from overseas immediately, and I'm talking about day 2 that we turned it on, was really my moment of, I mean, in the Asian marketplace, in the European marketplace in particular, and from the UK, people are really ready to adopt pure organic food a lot faster than we are here in Australia. And then, of course, you've got the US, which are the kings of organic and the food movement, and getting us into a place of whole-based plant food. So we knew immediately, it was just an immediate reaction. We need to be going overseas right now and not wasting any time.
Okay, so how did you respond to that? What did you do? Can you tell us about what you did? And can you also tell us about what the result has been, a number of years later?
Yeah, sure. Look, I mean, bearing in mind that we feel very confident in our marketplaces now, but I can tell you we had a lot of false starts.
Yes.
And the false starts were all around getting too excited with people that were getting very excited about our products and not vetting those people and jumping in too fast, too soon. So when we got all of this great interest, we sort of went out there and grabbed a hold of every single person and went, oh my God, you love us. We're happy to do business with you. And we didn't vet the clientele. And so the first step was to contact people and connect with people through our website. But the second thing we did is we chose a really good, highly reputable trade show, overseas trade show, that we could join to do some initial market research and get an initial reaction.
Yes.
But of course, we did the same thing at a trade show that we did online. Every single person that was interested, we were so excited and happy they were interested. We were exuberant. And that exuberance led us down a few blind alleys. And look, it took us a while to understand, and this would be one big learning that I would impart with people is don't get too excited with all the people that love your product, because if you've got a great product, thousands of people are going to love it.
Yeah.
Vetting your business partners, vetting your distributors, getting to know them and building the relationships. Spend the time on that up front, because that pays amazing dividends later on.
Yeah.
So we visited a couple of trade shows and really worked after that on understanding and learning from our mistakes and finding the best business partners we could find.
Okay. And so how many markets are you selling to these days?
We sell to about anything between sort of 6 to 8, depending on who's in our lives at the time, who's selling well, who isn't.
Yeah.
We have decided a couple of years ago to try and reduce down the actual number of countries we export to now and focus on the United States and China. Okay. And that was after the fact that we are a very small company and a lot of people think that we're a lot bigger than what we are. So, of course, we've got a resourcing issue. We just had so much happening at the same time. We weren't doing any one thing really well. Yeah. So we decided to set up a business and a company in America with a business partner there who's fabulous, and we are also about to do a joint venture with our customer in China, who we've spent 3 years developing a very wonderful close relationship with, and it's time to take the next step with them. So they're the ones that we've decided that strategically that's where our future lies.
Yeah. And how long has it taken you to decide that?
It's taken us 4 years. And I would actually say to everyone, don't take as long as we did. There are absolutely fabulous ways that you can vet people and that you can understand who you're working with in your industry a lot faster than what we did. We've just done it through a little bit more trial and error than I would recommend.
And if we just tell us a bit about the results that you've had from making that decision to take the business offshore. What does that look like?
Look, I think, 60 to 70% of our business will be export by the end of the year. We went from sort of $0 to $1 million through export within the first couple of years, because we were able to get, a couple of good orders, and then all of a sudden our turnover in Australia picked up, because once you get a little bit of cash, as everyone knows in business, if you've invested in the right place, you can then use that to reinvest in the business and continue to build those markets.
Yeah.
I mean, Australia is a very important base for us, because it's where we live and it's where our people get to know us, and our word of mouth now is very high. And 80% of our customers in Australia are actually repeat business. And once people start trying the products, they love it so much that they just continue to want to have it in their lives because they feel better.
Yeah.
But, I'm expecting our 80-20 rule to be 80% export within probably 2 years.
Wow.
And I expect that to go to around 90% within 5 years, for sure.
That is a great story, I have to say. So one last question for you, Melinda. Looking at where you've come from to now and thinking about SuperSprout, how do you feel?
I feel it's my baby. I feel happy, frustrated, excited. It's the food industry is a very It's a very deadly place for people to operate in. It leaves a lot of sort of brands lying on the side of the road, charred and grilled from attempts to break into the world marketplace. When you go to Expo West in Los Angeles, you see, you'll see 80% of the brands that will not even be there in the following year. So I've invested a lot of money. It's taken a lot of emotion, because you do get wed to your business and you get emotionally involved. And failure is just not an option when you spend parts of your life really trying to build a business. So I feel very optimistic though overall. Probably more than anything, we're optimistic because we're all Australian. And, the funny thing is that we've had that much pressure from everyone overseas to stay Australian, and we've had a lot of pressure from people in Australia to get our ingredients from overseas.
Yeah.
So that's the irony of doing business in Australia, is that Australians want to build cheap products, sell them to the world, but Australia forgets that we actually are a premium brand and we need to start marketing ourselves as that. And we have quality when we produce it in Australia, and it's better than what's produced overseas. So it's very, very difficult for me to remain very patriotic to Australia when sometimes it's very hard to base yourself here with the amount of costs and layers that we have to manufacture. But we're staying by our guns, and we are going to stay Australian, but we will stay a premium product because of that.
That's great, Melinda. Thank you. We're out of time, but thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
No worries at all. And good luck, everybody.